We are talking all about money today, taking a look at the winners and losers in President Trump's first federal budget proposal. Also, we'll take a look at the growing cannabis industry. It may have more potential than you think. And we'll find out why small business owners in Colorado say they are feeling good about the future. I'm Andrew Friedson, and welcome to Politics Unplugged. Pallets of federal budget books were delivered to the nation's capital this past week. President Trump's first budget proposal since taking office, and both sides pointing out it's just a proposal at this point and will likely be changed greatly before a budget passes through Congress.
This is not a budget that takes on the political establishment. This is a budget of the political establishment. This is the Robin Hood principle in reverse. You take from the poor and you give to the very rich.
For 8 years, President Obama presented a budget, which was a proposal, and got 0 votes in the United States Senate or the United States House. It's fair to say we're going to continue that trend.
I might get one too, Senator.
You might get one, but it won't be mine.
Well, here to talk about that proposal is economics professor Andrew Friedson from the University of Colorado at Denver. Thank you so much for being here,
and thanks
Dr.
for having
me. So this was the president's first effort at this. Overall, what'd you think?
It's a pretty crazy budget. It's a gigantic departure from everything that we've seen probably over the last 2 presidents, if not further back. It's also riddled with some pretty stark errors in terms of the accounting that have been pointed out by a lot of prominent economists and budget makers.
I know that, we all know that this will change. And truthfully, we don't know who to believe when we hear both sides taking this budget to task. So, but we do know that one aspect of this budget definitely favors the rich. Explain that.
Yeah, so the budget has tremendous tax reform in it, which is largely aimed, as you've mentioned, towards the wealthy. So the one tax reform bone that's thrown to the middle and pretty much everyone else who pays their taxes is a slight increase in the standard deduction. So this will put about $1,000 back in everybody's pocket. But the rest of the budget, in terms of the tax reform, is all put on the hyper-wealthy. And when we're talking about the hyper-wealthy, we're talking about reforms to things like the alternative minimum tax, which is paid by less than 1% of the population, the estate tax, which is paid by people who are bequeathing over $5 million in assets. These are things that land squarely on the shoulders of the hyper-rich.
And so when you say hyper-rich?
I mean hyper-rich. I mean, you have to be making over $200,000 to even be thinking about calculating the alternative minimum tax.
Okay, so we know that defense also is getting a boost. Explain.
Yeah, so there's an additional 50-something billion dollars annually in there for the defense budget. In addition to that, there's probably another $4 or $5 billion in there for Homeland Security. It's a lot of money. All of the other cuts combined in discretionary spending, so this is money that goes to federal agencies, don't even add up to the increase in the Defense Department alone.
Yeah, so that's huge. I know that there were some other areas where some big cuts were anticipated, and one that might be near and dear to your heart, higher ed, facing cuts. So talk about that impact to our colleges and universities, and how does that trickle down to students?
Oh, it's not good for students. It's really not good for pretty much anyone. So, yeah, the Education Department is taking big cuts in terms of money that can be spent. The big loser is students. The loan forgiveness programs are getting redone in such a way that there's this 10-year federal loan forgiveness that if you go from your education into the public sector or into nonprofit work, that you can enter into this federal loan forgiveness program that over 10 years you will work off your debt regardless of how much that is. And they're completely getting rid of that. So if you're a student who has aimed themselves towards public administration or nonprofit administration with the idea that this is going to be covered by the federal loan forgiveness program, you've had the rug completely pulled out from under you by this budget.
I think we've also been hearing a lot of people talk about cuts to Medicaid and how that would affect them. So what are you reading into this?
Yeah, the biggest loser here is state budget offices. So effectively what the federal government is trying to do is wash their hands of the Medicaid program completely. They're trying to cap the amount that can be paid. So essentially the budget proposal is saying whatever the American Health Care Act does, this is the Republican proposal that passed the House of Representatives, this is what we're going with. And what's been done with Medicaid is saying the amount of federal dollars is going to be fixed, and then states are on their own to figure out what to do. And the amount of federal dollars is not going to grow as healthcare costs grow. So every single state, one by one, their individual budgets are going to have to deal with the fact that they can't afford Medicaid, and they're either going to have to kick people off, cut generosity of benefits, or raise taxes to deal with this.
I know the Trump administration is saying a lot of the cuts would be made up through economic growth, and you're already talking about funny math here. I think we even heard somebody else call it Bernie Madoff math. Explain that for those of us who, we saw the big pile of budget here.
It's really not hard to understand.
What does this mean?
So there's two issues with the budget proposal. One is funny math that everybody does, and one is funny math that I or any economics professor would fail you for. So one is they're being overly generous with the growth projection. They're saying that we're going to have 3% economic growth when for the past 10 years we've seen about 2%. The other part of this is they're double counting the savings from cuts and from what they think this growth is going to give us. So they're saying they're going to cut taxes and it's going to generate this growth that's going to give us a ton of money, and then they're spending that money on defense and counting it twice. So they're saying we're going to lose tax revenues, we're going to have growth, and we're going to spend additional money, but they're only counting the negative once and they're counting the positive twice, but it's the same positive. So it's +1 -1, but what they're trying to say is, oh no, we can count this twice, and they can't.
Okay, so how much, as we talk about this budget overall, how much of this do you think we would actually see come to fruition?
It's really hard to tell because the House and the Senate is really controlled by a lot of deficit hawks who want to slash spending and want to cut taxes to the wealthy with the idea that this is going to generate economic growth. Now, we'll step aside from whether or not that actually does. You can pull GDP data and you can pull tax data, and I challenge anyone out there to try to find a relationship between those two things. I haven't been able to find it, but it's publicly available and you can try to do it yourself.
Have you seen that budget? Yes, you have. All right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you trying to help us dissect this and have a better understanding of it. Thank you. When we come back, we're talking about small business, so stick around. Colorado business owners are feeling pretty good about the future. Nicole Brady recently talked with a local Allstate agent about a new survey that delves into the reasons why.
I'm joined now by Michelle Calese, an Allstate agent here in the Denver area, and we're going to talk about the small business barometer that Allstate does and why they do that specifically. But let's talk about your experience as a small business owner, Michelle. We've seen so many changes over the past 10 years and even more recently in Denver. Small business owners are feeling more confident right now. Are you?
Absolutely. I've been a small business owner with Allstate for 17 years. I opened pretty much a scratch agency in 2000 in the Highlands Ranch area. The economy now in Colorado is amazing. So many people moving here. So yeah, it's very rewarding to be a small business owner. Comes with its set of challenges. There's the workforce, the jobs. There's many jobs, there's not as many people to fill them. So as a small business owner, not being able to maybe compete with the benefit packages of larger businesses, it presents some challenge, but still overall very rewarding.
That's great, and we'll talk specifically about some of the things that small business owners are seeing that are positive. Let's take a look at this barometer, though, that Allstate does, and why, first off, why does Allstate do this?
Well, as you know, or you may not know, Allstate is a national company made of small business owners. We, business owners, represent the brand throughout the U.S. So it's very important to Allstate to have a pulse on what's out there for new business owners coming into our environment, but really as a resource for us existing business owners to know what the marketplace is like and what we're working in.
Yeah, good point. So on the national barometer, 58 out of 100 is what you consider solid, but it's down 3 points from last year. How did we get to that number?
Well, I still think that the challenges are persistent. So although business owners are seeing reward in what they're doing, they're still faced with the same challenges of staffing and of resources. It's far more expensive to run a business now. Just last night, I had the locks on my front door to the agency froze, and at 10 o'clock, I had to find a locksmith to come and repair the doors for me, the things you don't count on. But in general terms, it's just more expensive to run a business than it was in the past.
Interesting. And in Denver, by comparison, they get a 60 on the barometer. That's considered strong. It is down 1 point from last year, but optimism for Denver, on that scale, Denver got a 97. So tell me about those numbers.
Sure, and that's really higher than the national average, and what that means, again, you know what the economy's looking like here in Denver. Business owners are feeling very optimistic and that they're in a strong workplace. Our younger business owners are definitely a little more creative and have obviously a longer time in the workforce, but it's just really a good time to be optimistic as a small business owner. And more importantly, when you are feeling that strong, you can be very innovative. You can, if the business is running the way it should be and you have less things pulling you away, you're really more able to be innovative and provide goods and services to your customers that you might not do in trying times.
I want to talk a little bit about innovation and the changing technology that small business owners can take advantage of too. Certainly we talk a lot about the big retailers and how they're going more with online sales, and certainly small businesses that sell goods to consumers, they may be competing with that. But small businesses can innovate as well.
Right. I think that's the good thing about the barometer. It really gives us as small business owners ideas and what the marketplace looks like to be innovative, and that can look like several things. In a small company like mine, I do insure a lot of small business owners, and I want to be that trusted advisor, that person that they can go to and deliver what they need in more in an innovative fashion.
And when we talk small businesses, you know, sometimes you think mom and pop store or maybe a restaurant. This is such a huge, vast array of types of businesses and even sizes.
Absolutely. I mean, the barometer itself looked at business owners from ages 18 to 75. It looked at people who were franchise owners or true independent business owners. It looked at people who had one employee all the way up to 100. So small business is pretty dynamic.
Yeah, and you pointed out that Denver is doing pretty well, and we do have that youthful environment here and entrepreneurial spirit among those youth. What else do small businesses need to succeed here and everywhere?
Well, they need the support of the community they're involved in. For myself, I'm very involved in local government. I pay attention to what's happening here, you know, legislatively, so that, again, I can be a trusted advisor. So what we really need is resources. We sometimes need help with marketing and things that we don't normally get when you work in a big business environment, because you're kind of in your own small business doing your own thing. So the barometer and other resources are really good for us as business owners to have things that we can use as resources. And
do you work together a lot? You said it's interesting, since you're an insurance agent, you work with other small business owners. Can you help each other?
Absolutely. You know, I think even in the Allstate family, but small business owners through my Chamber of Commerce, we're also always sharing ideas on marketing and advertising and things that we can do that sometimes when you're in what you're doing, you just don't pay attention as much, and then you think, wow, that's a really good idea. I should try that. So, yeah, small businesses certainly serve as resources for one another.
Wonderful. Well, Michelle, thanks so much. Anything else that you want to point out before we let you go? You had some great advice for people and some great information.
No, just an honor to be here and be able to talk as a business owner and share my feelings with you.
All right. Michelle Calese, thank you so much for sharing, and we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Nicole. One of the fastest growing industries in Colorado is the marijuana industry. Since the legalization of pot just a few years ago, we've seen stores pop up across our state with millions of dollars in revenue being generated. And the industry goes beyond the stores that you see. And joining us today is Steve Yonich, the CEO of Americanex, which is something of a commodities exchange for the industry. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Beyond the storefronts that we see, what else is out there about this industry that maybe people aren't aware of?
Well, what we originally started with was the flower, the cannabis itself. Now we've found that there are so many manufactured products that start with the flower, but it could end up a gummy bear, a chocolate bar.
Right.
And this consistently grows. If you notice, most recently, a lot of tinctures and creams are in the marketplace. So there's such a large infrastructure that has grown here that what the marketplace truly needs is a good track and trace system that also has a good payment system built in with the ability to watch the entire sales cycle of the product down to the consumer. And really the the way I think we should all look at it is protection of public health and safety.
And you're talking about a payment system, but how does that work given the federal laws?
So that's one of the biggest misconceptions, is that the federal government doesn't allow for banks to actually bank this industry.
Right.
They can. There are strict rules and regulations. There are what we call FinCEN guidelines, the Cole memo that's been put out by the federal government, so that we understand exactly what the rules and regulations are. Now you have to build that framework. The biggest problem was most banks weren't ready for the industry and find it very, very expensive and time-consuming to manage the clients because it's an all-cash business. This phenomenon exists in all cash businesses. So whether it's a restaurant, a bar, they still have banking issues. So what we've done is we've developed a system where we work with credit unions. We work with, currently are engaged with some banks who they'll use a back office application to automate the process so that now individual banks can bank the clients, bank them so that they're fully compliant through a regulatory process. And then we provide kind of like the PayPal or the Apple Pay solution to the entire industry. So now from the consumer all the way through to the distributor, they can pay each other through an online digital process.
I know you ideally would like to see marijuana legalized across the country, because you say if it is legalized at the federal level that revenues would surpass that of the NFL?
Well, if you really look at the numbers,